Well, ladies and gentlemen, I rarely am wrong, but I want to apologize to you. I was mistaken. Mitch McConnell held a press conference today, and he did lay out his legislative agenda. I want you to increase the volume on your radio or however you're listening to this program and take a very careful listen. Cut one, go.
And so my message to the administration, and you saw some of it this year, let's find some things between the 40-yard lines that we can agree on and do them. And we did some of that this year. Infrastructure, CHIPS, school safety, mental health. We need to make some progress for the American people, but it's going to have to be in the political center. If the House becomes Republican, there's no more one party running over us like they did through reconciliation.
There you go. Wow. The infrastructure bill. 19 idiotic Republicans adding to the inflation in this country. CHIPS, which they said that'll teach the Chinese a lesson. It had no teeth. School safety. He's talking about gun control. And mental health. I have no idea what they've done to advance the cause of mental health. Certainly not much. That's the great middle. That doesn't address a single thing you folks said to me in the 20 or 30 minutes that I allotted to your calls. Nothing. Is that what Chuck Schumer said his agenda is? Let's meet at the 40-yard line in the center. You know what he's pushing? Amnesty. Citizenship. For all the illegal aliens in the country. That's what he said. Cut 4, Mr. Producer, go.
But I also believe in it as an overall, as an American who wants to see our country be stronger. Because immigrants make us stronger now more than ever. Now more than ever. We're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own.
No, we're short of people who want to work. We're not short of workers. There's 7 million people sitting on their asses because of your policies, clown, and Biden subsidizing them sitting on their asses. Anyway, go ahead.
It used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Listen, I don't know how many are 11 million, maybe it's 100 million, whatever. We want to give them all citizenship. Now, keep in mind, he doesn't want to secure the border either. Does that sound like he wants to meet in the center at the 40-yard line? Now, this is a leader. He's a leader of Marxism, but that is a leader. Does McConnell sound like, I want to meet at the 40-yard line? How about we meet at the border and secure it, you idiot? And he has all those people trumpeting his amazing qualifications. There's no qualifications. He's a suck-up. He's a sellout. That's because you're a right-wing, Mark. No, I'm not right-wing. Cut 6, Mr. Producer. Go.
If we can get 10 Republicans to join us, we will get this done by the end of the year. It's the smart thing to do. It's the right thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. It's the humane thing to do. And I want to assure everyone here, we will not stop fighting till we get a fix for DACA, a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and a pathway to citizenship for all undocumented.
You notice they keep raising the bar. Was DACA? Now it's everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and not just amnesty, citizenship, which we knew he always wanted. I've been telling you that for 20 years, sitting right here in this chair. And what is the Republican response? There is none. Because our great leader, Mitch McConnell, is slow on his feet and marble-mouthed. And he doesn't even agree with us. We got the infrastructure. And I told Bob we meet on the 40-yard line. You know, we got to come to the center here. He has no comprehension of what we're up against here, these Marxist forces and movements. He's a moron. Dressed up as a genius. He's a moron. And 37 Republicans voted to extend his leadership, as they call it. And come January, he will be the longest-serving Republican leader in American history. Well, that's sure worth it. It just shows you. They talk about the quality of candidates, right? Well, now it's my turn. Let's talk about the quality of our senators. McConnell's team. It sucks. They're not even average. They've got no testosterone. Even the women. They have no hormones. The men and the women in the Republican Senate are pathetic cowards. They talk about a country club. It really is a country club. They have no connection. Look at you folks called in. You said the border, the economy, inflation, big tech. But there's an arms-long list of things that need to be addressed. I'm not saying we will win, but fight. Look at what Schumer said. We got to get 10 Republicans. And I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up, he says, until we give citizenship to every illegal immigrant. Every illegal immigrant, they let in 5 million more illegal immigrants. They're stuck on that 11 million number for the last 30 years. That's not what McConnell says. We're going to see what we can beat. And that's it. No leadership, not on policy, not on communications. And he stands there like it's a funeral every time with the 5 biggest, dumbest looking white guys standing around him. Have you noticed that, Mr. Producer? Bassaro, Thune, Cornyn, the other jerk who just is retiring from Missouri. I can't remember his name. They're all standing there, bobbing their head. Yeah. What? Yeah, what? And then when you question him, oh, Trump. You know, we would have won everything, but Trump, and Trump. But it's more than Trump. I just came across an article that was leaked to Mediaite, obviously coming from the Mitch McConnell corner, because Mitch doesn't like being called out for his failures. He doesn't like being called out for his failures. So there's a hit on DeSantis in there, coming from a Republican. Here it is. It's at Mediaite. You know, when there's leaks to these enterprises, you know, it's sort of the classic Mitch McConnell leak. And Mediaite, of course, is filled with reprobates and morons. Why did the GOP let Ron DeSantis and Rick Scott cannibalize the Tea Party's 2022 funds to prop up their 2024 ambitions? This is Sarah Rump. You remember her. She's a phony fraud and a reprobate. And she just put this out. With the Republicans' red wave failing to materialize in the midterm elections, and no shortage of finger-pointing going on as ambitious Republicans seek to absolve themselves of fault and elbow their rivals out of the way, one question that should be asked is, why did the Republicans allow Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Senator Rick Scott to cannibalize the party's resources? Now, where would this come from, Mr. Producer? You think Sarah Rump is smart enough to look into this herself? No, the media are stupid. Now, they're left-wing, but they're stupid, so they're hand-fed this stuff. So guys like Stephen Law, who has his head so far up McConnell's ass that that's his career. His career is walking around with McConnell, with his head up his ass. DeSantis' re-election campaign against former Republican governor and independent Charlie Crist was predicted to be a wipeout by virtually all political observers from the beginning. There were a few brief moments of wondering if the Supreme Court Dobbs decision might boost a Democratic turnout, or the Venezuela migrants DeSantis flew to blah, blah, blah. But he was going to win, don't you know? And when President Joe Biden praised the DeSantis administration's response to Hurricane Ian in early October, it was viewed as the final nail in the coffin for Chris' hopes for victory. Doesn't this sound like this was spoon-fed to her, Mr. Producer? 2022 race for Florida governor is officially over, was the blunt assessment by Florida politics publisher Peter Scorch. But nationally, multiple polls of key races proved to be inaccurate by overestimating Republican support. But in the Florida race, they erred by understating votes for DeSantis. So what happened? The financial disparity between the two candidates was even larger than their vote totals. DeSantis collected an astonishing massive chest, a war chest, amplified by small dollar donations from supporters across the country, and was the top fundraiser nationally of all gubernatorial candidates, according to the Tampa Bay Times. Well, so, here you go. According to the most recent campaign finance reports on the Florida Division of Elections, DeSantis' direct campaign took in over $28 million in monetary donations. His PAC piled up $209 million. Chris' fundraising looks laughably anemic in comparison, with $18 million for his campaign. And Friends for Charlie Crist PAC. And so her question is, here you go, here's the hit. With so many competitive races across the U.S., you might assume that the Republican Governors Association, tasked with helping elect and re-elect Republican governors, would not have spent much money in Florida this year. You might assume that if the RGA did donate to DeSantis, they certainly wouldn't have made it a priority race. Such assumptions, although reasonable, would be wrong. And they give a screenshot of the Republican Governors Association donations to the Friends of DeSantis PAC. $20,950,000. So less than 10% of what he raised. Just looking at the first 6 months, she breaks it down. $21 million they burned in the Sunshine State could have saved struggling Trump-endorsed candidates like Doug Mastriano. No, he couldn't have been saved. Carrie Lake wouldn't even come on this program. Lake did not launch her first TV ad of the general election. The problem in Arizona wasn't that she didn't have money. Of course, Masters didn't have money. That was the problem there. Turning to Scott, and then she slams Scott. So she slams DeSantis, and she slams Scott. And who doesn't she slam, Mr. Producer? McConnell, for the way they blew so much of their money. So here you have Sarah Rump, a mouthpiece for McConnell, a mouthpiece for Rove, a mouthpiece for Law, a mouthpiece for all the losers. All the losers. Now they're attacking DeSantis. This is what I've warned you about. They want a blood fight between Trump and DeSantis, and also McConnell doesn't want DeSantis. Neither does Rove, neither does this guy Stephen Law. Washington does not want DeSantis or Trump. They didn't want Reagan. They do not want a conservative who is serious about slashing the size of government, reining in the spending. They don't want it.